Hello, this is John Lint, lead programmer of BB Digital Lab, and you are listening to or watching the BB&J podcast. So it should be the I think third week of December when this comes out. It's also December when I'm recording this, but end of the year is rolling around, and people like to start off their new year with the resolutions, but also and I think critically, this is a great time to finish some stuff up. Make sure that some things are taken care of, so that when the new year rolls around, you're in a lot better shape, right? So I'm a web designer. Some of you are talking about something website related. Critically, these are 3 things you should fix or do for your website before the end of the year. These aren't insanely complicated. They're not going to require a master's degree to figure out, but that's the point. They're things that you can do. You can do with less experience with web design. You don't need a ton of work. You just need to be able to do a little bit of the work, make sure that things are okay, take out the time, but this is going to have huge lasting benefits for you. So the first thing that you need to be doing is filtering out spam comments. I've talked about this before. Spam comments are terrible for your website. Not only do you have the risk of people getting viruses or going to malicious sites, that also affects your SEO negatively. If there are backlinks, as in links that go from your site to high spam score sites or sites that are less reputable, that'll actually make your site look more like spam. Even if those outbound links are in the comments, it still hurts you. It still hurts your site. So I recently talked about more heavily with spam comments in the previous podcast, but suffice it to say, if you're getting spam comments, it's time to clear house. Even if they seem like just kind of weird, but you know that they're not written by an actual person, maybe time to clear them out. Yes, some of your posts maybe are going to have fewer comments, but there's also going to be a lot less risk. And as I mentioned, the back end, the browser friendliness, how much websites and search engines trust your site is going to go up. You always want that. That's one of the top things you want for your website beyond good, highly converting traffic. Furthermore, the whole point of a website is cultivating a specific voice that you have 100% control over. You get to dictate what's on the site. If there are spam comments on your site, or even just inappropriate comments, that's not a cultivated image. If it's not something that you want representing you, like I said, even if it's not, sites, links to malicious sites, even if if you ran a gym and someone was like, oh, and someone was in the comments like, oh, well, you don't need to go to a gym. You can just stay home and you'll be fine. Like, that's not good for your branding. That's not going to be good for your conversion. I love to talk about cupcake shops. If I owned a cupcake website, I wouldn't want someone in the comments saying, oh, cupcakes are terrible. Why wouldn't you just get a full-sized cake and cut it up? That's not good for the company. That's not something that I want on my platform. Branded image, cultivated, highly curated content. That's what you want on your website. So part of that is curating and cultivating the comments. If you have a lot that are just totally out of whack, it may take some time. As I mentioned before, if the comments are spam, as in terms of maliciousness, a lot of times you can filter them out by the IP address. But if they are just genuine, if they're genuine haters, so to speak, then it may take some more time. don't worry about like, oh, well, aren't I don't know, silencing them? Uh, am I like being mean by not letting them have their comments on my site? It's your site, you know. You can do with it what you want, and those comments are going to reflect poorly on you. They're going to reflect, and people who want your services, who could really use your services, they might drop off and bounce out of your site because of them. Are comments the first thing people read? No, but the first thing isn't the thing that sticks with you. Oftentimes, I mean, you can get that first impression, which is excellent, but the last impression is equally important. How do they end their experience? Because that's going to stick out with them just as much. First impression shapes how they view the experience during it, how they are looking at the experience as they have it. Last impression shapes how they look at the experience after the fact. If people are reading the comments at the end, you need to make sure that you don't have any spam. You don't have I mean, I mentioned things that just don't look good for you, the hate comments, so to speak. But like, I mean, obviously, if there's like hate speech or wildly inappropriate things, then you need to get rid of those too. I mean, more than anything, you know. So just go through some of your posts, take a look, see if there's anything that might be a problem. Maybe try to find a way to search through the comments by certain keywords, look for certain inappropriate words, or get a plugin or a service that helps flag certain inappropriate words so that it won't necessarily be displayed. Something I know some of my clients do is comments require review before they're allowed to be visible. And I think that's an excellent way to do it. So first thing you should be doing before the end of the year, get clean house, declutter your comment section. The second thing you need to be doing, which I kind of talked about in an indirect way, is check the links. There are some things that really, really, really hurt your site. One of those is dead links or links that get changed, So if you have a link to an old site and then it has to redirect 30 times, well, that's going to look really suspicious for the user. But if you have a link that's dead, well, that's going to look really suspicious, or that's just going to look bad for the search engine and the user. The user's like, oh, well, this seems out of date. And guess what? The search engine thinks that too. If you have a bunch of old or dead links on your site, the search engine's going to look at that and say, oh, this seems like it hasn't been updated recently or isn't updated frequently. So I want to make sure that people searching for this stuff are getting up-to-date, relevant, and regularly updated content. So I'm not going to favor this site as much. If you have a bunch of dead links, it's going to hurt you all around. It's going to deal with that issue of the user experience and the user journey. Well, clicking those links as part of the journey, you just severed it. The bridge is out and there's no way around. Take a look at your links. I'm not saying you have to do this every single day, every week, even every month, but this December, or if you're watching this later, do it by the end of the month. Go through your site, check out your links, see if any are dead. If it's something that just is removed and there's nothing you can do about it, then just delink it. Like I remember I was watching an old YouTube video and there was like links to a certain event or something. And I mean, the event was over, the links didn't work. That's one thing. I mean, it's a YouTube video, you can't really help it. But then there's the whole question of pertinence and timeliness. So that makes sense. But for your website, if there's an event going on and it's going to be over, but it's in a place that people still see, or if it's for a company or a site that is no longer around, get rid of the link. You can still have the text, just don't have a link. Or, I mean, ideally, especially if it's an event, you would send them to, a reporting of the event, maybe an article, maybe the page, maybe an image gallery, whatever it may be. But make a dead link is a dead end. You don't want to be giving the search engine or your traffic or your audience dead ends. You want to give them journeys, experiences. You're going to lead them to where you want them to go, whether that be an opt-in page, whether that be a checkout cart, whether that be to schedule a phone call. Get rid of the dead links. That's my challenge to you. By the end of December, like I said, if you're viewing this in the future, end of the month, I guess. The last thing that you need to be doing before the end of the year is get your site out there. This isn't directly related to, this isn't an insight modification, but you should be proud of your site. You should be proud of your cultivated, curated content. If it's a personal site, then that is you online. That needs to be at its core, like you, the best of you, the you that you want to show to the world. If it's your company, same thing. And there's all that consideration of if you're utilizing it and leveraging it effectively, a website can be amazing for getting people to engage with your content, to actually do the landing page, to schedule an appointment, to buy your products, whatever it may be. Website's excellent for that, but people need to find it. Are people going to be searching, cupcake shops near me with the location enabled? Sure, but that's not where most people are going to find you if you're doing it right. People are going to be finding you through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, MySpace, whatever it is. If you're on social media and you want to be representing yourself as a professional, which you should be, I think, regardless, then you should have links to your website. If you go to my account, or if you go to the company Facebook account, there's links to our website. If you go to my LinkedIn, there's a link to the website. If you go to the YouTube, even if you just go to the individual videos themselves, there's links to the website. Now, critically, this is best used if you're leveraging it for a specific thing, but make sure that your website is, at least it's listed on the social media you're active on, at the bare minimum. If you don't have your website on Facebook, if you don't have your website on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on all the platforms that you're on, you're just holding yourself back. You're limiting how much and what kind of way people are seeing you. So those are the 3 things that I challenge you to do by the end of the year. Get rid of those spam comments. Get rid of those dead links. Get your website linked out there on your social media profiles. I'd like to thank you so much for listening and or watching. And I think you'll probably be seeing more of Bridget on the Monday podcast, and I'll be doing the Thursday. So I hope to see you next week, and have fun with your website.